Okay, we are back with another segment of Desk Side Diaries, and we are going to be talking about a topic that a lot of you have been asking me about, so I'm really excited to talk about it. Can you take a guess? Photography. While I don't take my own photos, I do run my own Instagram page, and I have a few tricks and tips to managing all of that, which sometimes can seem overwhelming. So I wanted to share a few things that go into my Instagram feed and that we definitely take into consideration when doing the blog. And all of these questions are your questions. So if I didn't answer anything, let me know below and I'll be sure to answer. First question is, who takes most of my photos? As most of you know, the blog started out with my husband and I, and Freddie, who is a film director, does most of my photos, but sometimes he's busy doing movies. And so I work with a few other people as well. And to be completely honest with you, I started working with other people really when I started. I was starting to just collaborate. Collaborating is so much fun. So it really just depended on the project. So for example, I know that wedding photographers are a lot better at capturing kind of like these grandiose, romantic, maybe a bit more conceptual shoots. When, taking lighting into consideration, outdoors. There's a lot of variables when shooting weddings. So if you want a photographer who's definitely more conceptual, I think that a wedding photographer is a great place to start in doing research to see if they're into doing a more conceptual shoot. Then we have a lot of projects that are beauty focused and lifestyle focused. So you might have just seen the office tour, which was shot by my nearest and dearest, Jessica Alexander. And she is an incredible portraits photographer and also interiors photographer. So I really like to utilize different people depending on what their strengths are, because that's when you get the best finished project. And it's all about collaborating. All right, this is a tricky one. What do you do when you don't have a friend or a husband or a boyfriend to shoot your photos for you? Again, I think this kind of goes out back to collaborating. And if you're looking to grow your social media following, it's great to collaborate with different people. Reach out to a total stranger. I think the beauty of Instagram is having the ability to connect with people all around the world. So it's really great because you can, just direct message somebody. Hey, do you guys want to do you want to collaborate on this project? I see that you take amazing photos, and see, if that synergy works for you. It's definitely worked for me in the past, and I think it's all about just reaching out and going for it. So, my Instagram photos, most of them, let's see. Most of my Instagram photos, I would say that it's 50-50. So my feed, because a lot of the time, as you probably know, I take photos, or I feature photos that promote the blog post. So obviously those photos will all be from the DSLR. But I think there's a lot of other moments where I'll be out and about during the day, or I'll just want a quick outfit photo, and I'll actually just take that on the iPhone. And then I have a few editing tips that I'll share with you as well to make them look like they're professional photos. Okay, so my camera is a Canon 6D, and I invested in this camera after just having a regular point and shoot camera. We've been using this now for probably a year and a half. I love it. It's easy enough for me to use, and Freddie loves it as well. He's the actual photographer, but I can figure it out when I need to. And then our lenses. One of my favorites is the zoom lens, and a great lens to invest in, if you're trying to figure out which one you want before investing in a heavy duty lens, would be the Tamrock. So Tamrock is a great one to invest in if you're still trying to figure out which lens you want, because they're not so expensive, but they work on, with different bodies of cameras. I also love using the 50. I feel like that really gives that blown out background, which is always, fun for street style photos. All right, this is one of my favorites, and I think that this is actually one of the reasons why my Instagram feed continues to look a bit more consistent. I never, ever, ever, ever shoot with direct sunlight on me. I either wait for a cloudy day, or I'll go in kind of an area where a building is shadowing, or even better, my favorite kind of dreamy lighting is when the light is coming from behind you. That is what we refer to as the golden hour, and that happens right now. It's happening really early because it gets dark so early, but that lighting is just beautiful. But harsh, direct lighting has never really been my thing. Neither has flash. We experimented with it, but yeah, I prefer kind of more of like a neutral palette when shooting. This is a great one too, because this again goes back to a bit more of the collaborative effort. So when I'm shooting an outfit, depending on what it is, I definitely look at a few things. I look at the color palette of the outfit. So for example, if I'm shooting a red outfit, a red dress or a red coat, I will not shoot with a green background because the contrast of the green and the red becomes really intense in photos and you kind of get distracted and lose sight of the outfit. So for reds, I like shooting in front of whites or blacks. So it really all just depends for me on the coloring of my surroundings. I think it's a lot of fun to also play with monochromatic tones. So if you're shooting a pink dress, maybe to find like a really, really bright pink wall and kind of play with the two contrasts. I think it's one of the reasons why wearing like a camel jacket in Paris is so beautiful, because the camel and the sandstone just play so beautifully off of each other. It's almost like you blend in with the city around you. And I think that's really like what elevates your photos, is when you learn to kind of key into the background and learn to play your wardrobe off of, you know, where your location is. All right, this is a really interesting one. What do I consider my Instagram theme to be? Because we all know how popular grayscale is, blue hues, black and white, desaturated. I feel like I have to like look at my feed to figure this out. I think I really, I take out a lot of blues and I take out a lot of yellows, and I like to up my pinks, and I use a few different editing apps to do that, which I will get into later. But yellows feel a bit too warm on a page and blues feel a bit too cool. So I like to stay somewhere in the middle range. And it really kind of gives it more of like a soft palette instead of being a bit too harsh. How do you keep your images feeling cohesive? This is a great question. So I think there's a mix here going on. So images feeling cohesive in a feed, I think also depends on what you're posting and when. So for example, I use an app called Planoly, and I'm sure you've all heard of it. But what it does is it helps me see a bit more as to like where my images are going to be placed in my feed. So instead of just posting like a pair of shoes and then a flat lay of a bag and then a coffee and then a picture of me and then another picture of me, what my rule of thumb is to always go myself, either location or theme, myself, location, myself, location, myself, location, or whenever I have something in between, I always like to filter it in, because that way there's not like so much going on the page at one time. I definitely like look at some people's pages and they just do outfit, outfit, outfit. And I'm like, how do you pull that off? Whenever I do it, it doesn't look nearly as good. But that's my theme consistency. What do you try to evoke when you're shooting? This is a great question. I love this one. Obviously, it's no secret that I love anything romantic and beautiful and feminine. And I think regardless in what I'm wearing, I like to, there's like an air of whimsicalness to it. There's a bit of pretty, you know, an element of pretty. Sometimes, you know, my edge comes out in my masculine side. So like when I wear more tailored trousers or a tailored blazer, think like 1970s, a bit more retro style, that's like as edgy as I get. So I definitely, you know, err on a bit more on that side, and I haven't changed in a while, and I don't know if I'm going to. But it works for me, so, you know, just find what you love and stick to it. Okay, what's the biggest mistake that I see other bloggers making when I see them on my feed? I don't know that it's a mistake, but I'm definitely guilty of this as well. It's over editing. And I think that there's a lot of the time it's really easy to like go from one app to another app, to desaturate in one app and then clean up your skin on another app and then go into another app. And what that does is it actually lowers the pixelation of your image so it looks lower quality. So when you're spending money or collaborating on an amazing project with an incredible photographer, and then you go and you slap like 15 different filters on it and it looks kind of like this blurry mess, I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice when you do that. So I really like to just stick to like one or two. Snapseed is like my go-to, my number one. So I'll always go into Snapseed. I'll up the sharpness, not too much, grain, no good. So I'll up the structure a bit, and then I'll go back into my lighting preferences, and I'll like up and down the contrast, and then I bring it into darkroom. And darkroom is where you can really play specifically with different things like hue and saturation, but specifically pinpointing those two things within different colors. So say I don't like the yellow in one of my photos, I can literally take all of the yellow out or all of the blue out and really make your whites look super crisp and white, and all of your blacks look really deep and dark, which makes for a very beautiful photo. So I feel like I just rambled them all off, but the next question that I was getting into was, what are my favorite editing apps? So drum roll please, and I will link it below, so make sure to check it out. It'll be in today's blog post too, but I've also done a massive blog post in the past about editing apps and how I use them specifically. So if you have any questions, be sure to refer back to that video, which is linked below. Okay, so first, look at how nice and clean my screen is. Everything is in folders, so I go to my photography folder. And I always start with Snapseed. Snapseed is great for the reasons I just listed. Otherwise, if I feel like it needs a filter, I'll go into Visco. And my favorite filters to use on Visco are A6 and C3. From there, I'll bring it into darkroom, and I'll play with the hues and the saturations with the specific tones that I like to get out. And then what I'll do is I'll go into Facetune. Bum, 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 I know. Okay, so Facetune is great for a few things. First being the whitening tool. I love whitening anything out that has a bit too much yellow in it. Sometimes darkroom just doesn't do it, so I like to just go in and kind of, you know, like edit out the yellow where it's supposed to be white. Next, details. Details is great for doing details on outfits. So for example, this dress that I'm wearing, we see the detail on the edges here, but maybe if I were to go in and go over it in Facetune with the detail, it would make it pop more. I also will sometimes do that when I'm doing like a hairstyle. Like if you've seen me do a braid before, sometimes I'll go in and I'll like up the detail on the braid. It just kind of makes it a bit more poppy. You can also do a little bit of detailing, like if you zoom in really close and you do detail on your eyelashes, it just makes them look a little darker. I'm not a fan of doing an all over smooth on the face. If you have a zit and you want to cover it up, do a little dot. But I think that's where people get in trouble, is when they do an all over Facetune. Facetune isn't bad, you just have to learn how to use it in a way that doesn't make the picture feel completely not original. What is the best advice for taking an Instagram outfit photo? Low angle, people. It's all about getting down low and shooting at an upward angle. I think straight on, it makes somebody feel maybe a little bit shorter than they are, and you always want to look taller and thinner, so an angle upwards is always a good bet. I think a lot of people do different things with their legs. I'm a big stepper. I like to pretend like I'm taking a step. I feel like it's elongating. And I'm always constantly reminding myself to have shoulders back, because sometimes I'll be like, you know, I'll like feel like I'm being really sexy, and I'll like do something funny, and I'll look at the photo and I'll be like, what was I thinking in that? So anyway, shoulders back, strong pose is always great for a good outfit photo. This kind of goes back to shooting with different photographers. You know, sometimes we have a project that we just want to do a really quick outfit photo, because to be honest, a lot of the time, just a quick outfit photo does really well. People just want to see what you're wearing. So a lot of the time we'll just kind of like, you know, decide that this is a cute outfit, we're gonna go out and shoot it, and we're gonna post about it. Other times we'll be traveling and I'll just be wearing an outfit, we'll be out and I'll shoot it. But there's bigger projects that we work on to conceptualize a lot of the time, which are, in my opinion, some of the more fun shoots that we've done before. And the way that I conceptualize is through first storyboarding. So what I'll do is, for example, we have actually by the time this video is done, I'll probably already have been to Aspen. So this is fun. I'll link some links below to like our Aspen photos so you can see what I'm talking about. So we are prepping for our trip to Aspen, I said aspen. I meant Whistler. Snow, same thing, just kidding. So we're going to Whistler, which I'm really excited about. And we want to do an après-ski story. And so what I've started doing is I've put together kind of like a storyboard. I go on Pinterest and I just pull a bunch of like gorgeous inspiration photos of kind of like high fashion in the snow, something that I see Freddie and I shooting when we're out there. And what I'll do is I'll send that out to the designers that I think would be a good fit. So I start a list, and it is full of all of the designers that have amazing snow and winter gear. And in my mind, I'll maybe start pulling from the website and start seeing different items that I think would be really great to wear, for the concept that I've come up with. Then we receive the clothing, and then we go on our trip, and we kind of like what we visualized from the storyboard to requesting the photos to getting to the location. At that point, everything has kind of come through, and it's really cool to kind of, plan. A lot of this is planning, 3-4 weeks ahead of time. Currently, it's, we're almost a month out before Whistler, but I'm already starting to call in samples because I want to make sure that by the time we get there, I have all of these looks lined up and I'm going to be able to deliver amazing content to you guys. Do you think it's important to define your photography style in the blogging world? Absolutely. I think that the most successful people have done an amazing job at literally, you see a photo in your feed and without even seeing somebody's, username, you know whose it is. And I can scroll through my feed and identify probably 10 bloggers who just do an incredible job at it. I literally know, I'm like, oh, that's a so-and-so photo. Oh, that's a so-and-so photo. What it comes down to is the editing process. It's staying consistent in what you shoot, how you shoot it, and sticking to the things that we've talked about before, like coloring. And I think if you kind of remain, true to those specific things and don't feel like you have to identify that immediately. See what your followers and your readers are reacting to. If they like a photo with a lot of blue and you get a ton of engagement on it, clearly your fans like blue. Maybe try posting a few other like bluer, colored photos. If they're not responding to that, go a little bit warmer. Maybe add a little bit of pink. Play with it. Experiment until you find something that you really love, that your readers are really reacting to, and that will eventually, hopefully, become your niche. So I think that's it for today. I feel like I spoke a ton. Again, if you have any questions, make sure to let me know below and I will write you back. All right, I'll see you guys soon.